Today, I'm going to be covering the winter solstice on December 21st in the sign of Capricorn. The light returns. Welcome, my beautiful friends. Today is going to be another recap of a little bit of the energies that we've been under for the past month or so. But I do want to talk about the winter solstice and how that's impacting globally, how it's impacting personally. But before I get started, I would like to invite you to please subscribe, hit the like button, the notification button, and please feel free to leave comments in this section. I am doing my best right now. I haven't been able to respond to comments from the last video, so I'm going to do my best over the next week. I am a little slammed right now with projects going on right before Christmas. So please leave the comments. I will get back to you. And so appreciate who you are and your support of this YouTube channel. The winter solstice, that's when the sun goes into at 0 degrees of Capricorn. This is a particularly, again, beautiful and challenging chart as I'm looking at it. So it's really a continuation of what's been going on in our country, in the world. We are waiting since the full moon in Gemini on Sunday, yesterday, for word from our own government and or other governments related to the election and what's going on behind the scenes. There is the potential and possibility by this, the winter solstice, the sun moving into Capricorn, where revelations may start to come out about what is really going on behind the scenes. And looking at this chart, the one for the Christmas week, it's fairly intense at this time, this week. So next week, during Christmas week, there may be more information that starts to be revealed about what is happening. And, we'll kind of go from there. What I see is there are some really powerful gifts and changes and healing that are happening with this solstice. So a solstice is when we are at the end, we're kind of, we have reached the shortest day of the year and the greatest darkness. And the light begins to return each day. We'll have a little bit more light, a little bit more light, and a little bit more light until we come to the equinox, where there's the equal light and dark in March or April. I'll have to look and see exactly what the date is on that. These energies really are offering to us some insight. So it's like there are many indications in the chart or the astrology that is signaling to us that things are beginning to shift and change. The fall of Syria and Bashar going to into exile in Russia. I did a video a few days ago around that energy. I think it was last week. And when that happened, it occurred to me that Saturn in Pisces, who's now fully direct, is actually bringing karmic consequences to those who, with Pluto Aquarius or Pluto in Capricorn, abuse their power, money, and sexuality. That these dominoes are beginning to fall. Yeah, so it's like, so that's one of the first, right? More to come. And I think over the next few months, particularly through the rest of December, January, until the end of February, 23rd, when Mars finally moves, he will be in Cancer, but he will move forward and be in Cancer for another month. But when he moves forward, it's basically the behind-the-scenes activity, the behind-the-scenes investigations, the behind-the-scenes, both domestically in our country as well as in the world, that we will receive or start to receive more information about what has been going on behind the scenes. This chart really represents there are gifts happening, but there's also massive major challenges. And the one thing that is the most destabilizing for most of us is that humans want security. We want things to kind of be the same, but we want it to be safe. We want it to be fair, that sort of thing. I know. But there are energies here that if we speak up to the truth, and if we seek balance, if we strive for balance, and we have to start, as humanity, if we're not in the government, then on a personal level, the only thing we really can do at this time is to work on ourselves, to stabilize ourselves, to not go into fear. And, certainly there's concerns about finances for a lot of people. We're getting horrific news, even on the YouTubes. There's more of this fear stuff about, we're going to have a global collapse, financial collapse, and all this stuff. As much as you can, just discount that. Let it go. If you hear it inadvertently, just let it go. And come back to yourself. It's important that we look into our hearts, that we're looking at ways that we can stabilize ourselves, our families, our friends, to build better bonds, to look at where we haven't been honest with ourselves about life, about friendships, about our work, about relationships. This is a time of the Great Awakening. And even for those of us who have been working with these energies our whole lives, it is still, we are still going through it with you. We are all going through this. It is a time where there are very fast-paced miracles that can be coming in. And the more you can stay in your heart and even contemplate, it's like, what would I like to do that's different? How can I break myself out of my old belief systems, my old ruts? Try some new things, and what would those new things be? So it's with Mercury and Sag, we can all go on adventures, if no other adventure than through our minds. Research, the internet that's one of the things it's really good for. We can explore globally. We can explore all kinds of things and use it for positive things. We can detach some from the social networks because, and I know all kinds of things can become addictions. When we're looking for security, when we're looking for safety, when we're looking for hope, it's important to kind of limit what that is with creating personal time, creating time to meditate, creating time to be with yourself, creating time to go out into the world. The solstice is a time where it is the shortest day of the year, but then the light begins to return. So it's time for us. It's also the world axis. This energy impacts the whole world. It impacts many of the birth charts of countries. And I didn't do that research. I will do that. But in looking at countries that would be impacted, we'll see those generally. We can see those countries in the news with, here are some big crises for change that are going on. It is the opportunity for us to go inside and to truly face our fears, face our shadow. Our country, I believe, is in the process of going through the dark night of the soul, its soul. Our leadership, which is so important right now. There's so many people working in government, internationally, and in our country behind the scenes. And I did a video, in my last video, I did a meditation to support, to send energy, to send love, to send courage to the leadership of our own country, to look at how do we renegotiate and rebalance in the whole world. in the whole world. And that means looking at what is basic respect, how do we transform and communicate with our brothers and sisters around the world, in countries around the world, diverse countries, diverse cultures, and diverse peoples. Everyone is desiring security, financial security, to feed their families, to have homes, to have happy and healthy lives. And the women in the world, 52% of the world's population, the women have had it. They are really pissed at what's going on, and abuses by the toxic masculine energy, the warmongers, the arrogant adult males that are in charge of the world and think they know what's best. Inclusion of women in solutions is going to be huge. So when we're meditating, when we're taking a few minutes just to ground ourselves and support those in the world to find the courage, to find their heart, to find the compassion, to be able to change, to move into new and different ways of doing things, using Chiron in Aries, Sedna in Aries. Inclusion is critical. Upliftment of all. There's so much that is so out of balance. Dark Moon of Lilith in the solstice chart is at 19 degrees of Libra. Vesta, who is the asteroid that is the Vestal Virgin. She's the keeper of hearth and home, sacred lives, sacred sexuality. Vesta energy is also Libra. The dark moon is our core wounding in humanity. The core wounding of the lack of balance and respect, basic respect for being a human being, for being a child of the cosmos, of the creator. So, old religious institutions that, it's our way or the highway, that we have the one true religion, all of those concepts are breaking down. Because we are all valuable. We are all of the creator. And so there has to be inclusion and basic respect. This is what I send, besides, my meditation and prayer for these guys to find their cojones, and to do the right thing in this country particularly. We're supposed to be the global leaders, and I'm not sure we're exporting democracy. I feel like we have lost our way as a country. And I don't know how much democracy is left, but it is worth fighting for. It is what Aquarian energy is about. And Pluto in Aquarius is, I will remind you, is energies of the power going back to the people. But it's not going to be given easily. It's like we have to say no more. We have to say no more of these energies. That this is a time of moving into inclusion of all. Women in particular need to be participants because they are healers. They are natural healers. Women don't want war because our children will die. Our earth that needs to feed us will be poisoned and destroyed. It's important to be inclusive of women during this period of time, and those energies, it's like those are values. Venus and Aquarius in this chart. So Venus is going to be helping to speak to truth to power. Pluto, Ceres conjuncts Pluto. Ceres is around security, nurturance, food issues. People are hungry. They're starving around the world. And there is no need for that. There is enough food production in this world. Distribution is a problem, but there is food, and there needs to be priority begun again to feeding children. Pluto, the trine to Sedna, who is also connected to Saturn, basically Saturn-type energies, karmic energies of restructuring, only it's the feminine quality of restructuring. And healing of old relationships, old international partnerships. There needs to be a great deal of healing of that. So we've got gifts. Mercury, also communication planet, trining Mars retrograde and trining Neptune and the North Node. Neptune in the North Node this is a time of fast-paced awakening. With that North Node in Aries, he's going to be moving very quickly into compassion, forgiveness, creating a new vision and a new dream. So all of us can participate in that by starting the work within ourselves. And, when I say the word meditation, it doesn't mean you have to sit and have your mind go blank. I'm talking active meditations where we visualize. It's like sports psychology, all the Olympic athletes. I used to live in Colorado, and the Olympic athletes would train for the winter sports, in the Denver area and up in the mountains. And back in the 70s, 80s, they were working with sports psychology to literally see whatever you're challenged with and whatever it is you want to perfect, run it through your imagination. See yourself doing it in your imagination, and it will be so. So another way of active meditation is actually creative visualizations, and that can serve you well as well. There is, I would just say, what I'm seeing here with the moon squaring Mercury, squaring Neptune, squaring Jupiter, it is a mutable, what we call a mutable grand cross. These energies are kind of the emotional energies of fear running through the collective. There are times when I have difficulty breathing as an empath. And I have to, when I'm not trying to be the great Taurus doing all my projects, I have to stop and go, wow, I need to take a few deep breaths. And, the energy I was feeling was quite fearful. And it's like, is this mine or is this collective? And it wasn't mine. There was nothing I was processing at the time that was creating fear. So remembering to breathe, to consciously release those, to bless them and release fear is going to be a daily moment by moment thing for the next few months. As we move into mastery, it just will become automatic. We will notice our body symptoms, so to speak, and can immediately relax ourselves and take some deep breaths and release whatever that energy is and send love. It's just a continuation. It's a continuation of the energies that we've been working with. Still lots and lots going on behind the scenes. It's going to take us a few more months. I would give it 5 months for there to be real open and honest communication. Some things are going to be revealed as they have to be, and otherwise it's being kept pretty under pretty secretive tight wraps at this time. What's going on, particularly in our government and globally. So what to do about it? We're headed into the Christmas holidays, and Christmas is holidays period. Thanksgiving and Christmas tend to be a time when it's really for people who have had recent losses, death, divorce, ending of jobs, any of those kinds of really challenging grief kinds of energies. It's not a jingle bells, time. It's a time to be pulled back, and be gentle with yourself, to do the grief work as you need to, but to also reach out to family and friends, and if you can share love, if you can say, I love you guys, but, just not in the party mood right now, please send me healing energy, love, and light energy. And when we are also experiencing those kinds of energies, it's really, really healing for us to find a way to give to others, like food kitchens, donations, and maybe actually going and working with the homeless populations, serving food, that kind of thing. I mean, I would never recommend that you go out on your own and do work with those populations without the training or without, an organization behind you. But please, find ways to donate, to work in your neighborhoods to help those that are shattered, or by bringing them some pick-me-up kind of gift, or can I help by mowing your lawn, or can I help by putting up some Christmas lights? So elderly and those that are ill and housebound, and just find ways to bring cheer, and also reminder to take care of yourself. As we look at the Christmas week and Christmas Day itself, I would say there is an influx of some new energy. Mercury, now moving forward, is trining Chiron, the wounded healer, in the sign of Aries. So it can be a beautiful time of doing some visioning, of getting out in nature, of going skiing or walking, to the park in the snow, or, going to the beach if you're in the southern hemisphere of the world. This can be a time to trust your intuition. If you feel motivated to give someone a call that you haven't talked to in many, many years, this would be a good time to do that. And if you are into advocacy at all, this is going to be a time where we might start to see some protests and some peaceful protests happening in our country and around the world. So this can be a time of, standing up and asking for what needs to happen. And again, don't forget to hold our mediators, negotiators in light and love, and ask for them to step into their courage to do the right thing. Because I'm looking at this, it reminds me, I was a human development major, early childhood educator for many, many years. And I did parent education, teaching, and I imagine there's so many women, men and women, I would say, in this country, who, in raising our children, if you let them get away with abusing things and tearing things up and throwing tantrums, and if you allow that, that's going to be kind of with them for most of their life. It's not going to get better by ignoring it. And in our country, we have known that there have been manipulations of elections since Nixon's time. And, and I'm going to say, both sides are not necessarily, both parties are not necessarily equal in their abuses of that, but because I do feel like since the 70s, I've been questioning, why are wages not going up? Why are our benefits starting to be cut? Why are we moving into, in the 80s and 90s? Why are our jobs going away? Why are the corporations, I won't mention names, I almost did. Why are they getting rid of all of their part-time employees and making them contract workers? What's going on there? So all through this period of time, the Democrats have come into power, and they've had all three, branches of government. And yet suddenly, for some surprising reason, the erosion of the workers' rights, the erosion of personal rights, and privacy, all of that stuff has gone on during their tenures, their terms as well. So I'm starting to get a little bit, okay, we do have a Democratic president, vice president, and Senate still for a few more months. And it's like, what are you guys doing to fix this? Because it's been going on since the 60s. Find your cojones, find the courage, find the compassion, find the sense of responsibility to not lie to the American people and to start to fix this. Because that's why they were voted into office. And if they are truly the party of the people, the workers, as they claim to be, then they need to start producing. They need to start doing their job. To allow elections to be interfered with for decades and decades and just go, oh, we'll just okay, we're going to throw in the towel. We're going to just let this happen because we're going to protect the reputation of the United States as a global leader. Well, no one has been fooled. The people have not been fooled. The rest of the world has not been fooled. They've also been watching this for decades and decades. Most of the global community feels sorry for the American workers. I'm getting a little worked up here. But when we are doing our meditations and we're sending energy for the healing of a lot of what's going on in the world, for the abuses of power of the dictators and the oligarchs and all of these things are going to crumble. The religious institutions that have created so much violence and abuse against people and, in children, that women and children, these are all going to be collapsing. But it is time for those that we do have in leadership, for us to pray for them to wake up, to step into responsibility, as any good parent. And they're supposed to be working for us, right? We're supposed to be their bosses to some degree. And it's like they have abandoned us over the past 80 years. At this moment, I'm going to mention that the Uranus cycle, because in the U.S. chart, we are in our Uranus return, we've completed and still orb of influence the Pluto return from the inception of our country. And we are under the influence right now of the Chiron return, the healing. And we are a young country. We are. So it's time for us to move into our power, to grow up. It's time to grow up. And it's time for women to move into leadership and power and to help that process, because we are responsible and we don't want to send our children to war. And we're entering a time where war has never provided a solution, a long-term solution either. It may temporarily, settle things down. But the seeds have already been planted for the next war. So as we're moving into a healed feminine archetype and a healed masculine Mars energy archetype in all of us, each of us individually as well as women, between men and women, as we are healing those energies in this country at this time, we can become the shining example on the hill. We can move into here's how to heal and transform when we have allowed corruption to totally take over the country, and so corrupt from within, and then made it so easy for other countries to attack, to take us down. I'm sharing this because it's really important if we're going to have a break over this holiday period and then sustain it as we move forward. It's important for us to take the time this week, this holiday time frame, this week and the week after, to go inside, to calm our nervous systems, to know that we will hold the vision of a more perfect world, a world that's moving into healing transformation, and that we will begin to heal ourselves as well. Okay, so take care of yourself. Thank you for listening. I love you all. Many blessings, and please find some peace in your life over the course of the next 2 weeks. Thank you.